All right. So, this was a video idea I was kind of thinking about for a while and talking about because it's just kind of a fun topic, and sometimes I just like to do topics here and there that I enjoy. Um, Fucking chair. Get a new computer. Don't get a new chair. That's the story of my life. Anyway, so um, I just thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about I guess you could call this an underappreciated friendship in the Marvel universe. I think like this is something that has not really been talked about or really like given a lot of credit to in terms of, and it's weird because it's been around and actually was the first friendship of these two characters that we saw in the movies. Now, as I've said before, is that Peter's like two close, like I guess you could say five. I should say, five closest friends in the Marvel universe. If we're going by superheroes, it's the Fantastic Four and Daredevil. I've talked a lot about like Peter and the FF's friendship. A lot. I did a whole video talking about like how I can't wait to see like a live action, Charlie Cox and Tom Holland meet up. The one I'm really more excited for is for Peter to hang out with the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four have been treating Peter like family for the longest time, and Matt and Peter see each other as brothers. They really do like view each other as brothers. But there's a third friendship. There's a sixth person in the superhero community that Peter has had a lot of friend connections with, and actually like a underappreciated friendship in Marvel Comics. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which is funny because we did kind of get this in, of course, No Way Home. So I've always enjoyed the friendship between Peter and Steven. And you could say, what about like Captain America or Iron Man? Peter's friends with all of them. Yeah, well, a lot of those characters, like sometimes they tolerate him or sometimes they just talk down to him. I was also going to add Wolverine, but outside of like Jason Aaron's miniseries that had Spider-Man and Logan lost through time and become like connected to each other, and a few stories here and there, it really feels like no one gives a shit about the idea of Wolverine and Spider-Man being friends. Although Mark Guggenheim's upcoming ongoing series may change that and remind everyone, hey, Peter and Logan actually like each other. I doubt it because, it's Mark Guggenheim, and Guggenheim's a lot. If you've read his comics, you know what I mean. Anyway, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about another, Peter and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange's friendship, and kind of talk about like what that all means. So, why do I think Spider-Man's third most important friendship in the superhero community is Doctor Strange? It's been seen. We've seen that for years. Like Peter and Steven have had nothing but respect for each other. They're both like, again, it's much like with the Fantastic Four and Matt Murdock, where they're New Yorkers. And Peter has the thing I really like of why Peter and Steven make such good friends is because they're very polar opposites. Steven's older, Peter is younger. It's a very like mentor. It's a very much like a young friend meeting the old guy. The older, more experienced friend, someone he can get mentorship from, and someone who can give him counsel. Not to say Matt doesn't do that or Reed doesn't do that, but we've seen a lot of times where Peter goes to talk to Steven about a situation. What also I think I find so fascinating about Peter and Steven's friendship is that Peter is a man of science. I think a lot of, especially modern comics today, forget that, yeah, Peter's a scientist who even Reed goes, yeah, I listen to him sometimes. I think a lot of modern Marvel comics forget that, yeah, Peter is a very intelligent man, and there was a point where Spider-Man didn't believe in magic. Yeah, for the longest time, for those who don't know, Peter thought things through a scientific lens. He basically thought that magic was just science he didn't understand, kind of like Iron Manning it up. But he's been around, Doctor Strange and all these other weird magic shit that he's just like, yeah, it's fucking real. But there was a time where Peter thought, Steven was like, I appreciate the help, buddy, but like, I don't believe this Harry Potter shit. So whip, I'm out. But thanks for the help again. And that was what they were like. And Steven was always like, I wish you would open your mind, Spider-Man, more. And the two did start out as they're work friends. Or even that, Spider-Man would show up and Steven would be like, oh, hello, hi. But we did see, there's a progression. There's, a genuine progression. It's not like with the Fantastic Four or Daredevil, where after a few times they meet, and then it's like, oh, I guess, we're cool. I've known him long enough to hang out and be cool with. Steven and Peter, it took a longer time for them to be friends. Because, Steven always appreciated Spider-Man's help, but he was also like, okay, you can go now. But now it's like, Steven, much like I said in my video talking about Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, Steven will go up to bat for Spider-Man if, Tony or someone is, talking shit about him. I remember, there was another comic where, Tony's talking shit about Spider-Man, and Steven's like, stop, okay? What is your problem with him? Stop, just fucking leave him alone. So the two Spider-Man has grown to respect Steven. Not to say he just thought all the weird wizard shit wasn't real, and he was just like, all right, cool, whatever, bye. And now it's just like, hey man, I got some magic demon shit going on, I need your help. And yes, I know that accounts for 90% of the Marvel Universe whenever bad magic shit happens, but Spider-Man's usually the one, Peter's the one to web swing to Greenwich and, go into the Sanctum Sanctorum and be like, Doc, help! There's a few times, and we've seen this in a few comics, where Spider-Man web sling is he's had a long night of fighting villains, and he's just like, I just cannot get home, and he will literally go to Steven's house. He will go to Doctor Strange's house, Sanctum Sanctorum, knock on the door, and be like, "Hey, can I just crash here for the night?" and Strange is just like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Wong, get him something to eat." Thank you. Yeah, Steven, Peter. I mean, Steven trusts Peter enough that he just gives him access to the Sanctum Sanctorum whenever he wants. That's something that he doesn't do with a lot of characters. Even some of the Avengers, he doesn't leave the door open for him. But for Spider-Man, he's just like, oh yeah, come on in, Pete. And that's what I like about it, is that Steven grew to respect Steven, and in turn, Peter grew to respect Peter grew to respect Strange, and in turn, Strange respected Peter, and the two became close friends. Steven has had when Doctor Strange died in Death of Doctor Strange from the Jed MacKay run, and granted, I'll have to explain a little more, is that one of the people he trusted with his will, in his magical will, was Peter Parker. And that was a very short list of characters whom he trusted to carry on protecting the world after he was gone from certain magical threats, and one of them was Peter. Now, granted, Peter was in a coma after fighting the UFOs in what was it? That whole Ben Reilly was Spider-Man thing. So it was Ben Reilly and Black Cat had to do stuff in Peter's stead. Though I imagine Peter would have loved to have been would have gladly not even given a second thought to be like, all right, Doc, I'm going to go out there and fight some monsters. I'm doing what now? And so, yeah, Spider-Man, that Spider-Man storyline Beyond, that was it. Thank you. God, Jesus, I forgot the subplot. But the Beyond storyline is accused of a lot of things, a lot of bad things, and sadly it did take away not only just a minor rant. Beyond, I liked Beyond up until a certain point. I think we all like Beyond up until a certain point. And among that was having Ben Reilly kind of take place over other Spider-Man lines. Again, Ben Reilly was the Spider-Man that Doctor Strange didn't know Peter was out of commission. He was just kind of sending a psychic projection of his spirit. So it was just like, Peter, I need your help. And Felicia's there is like, wait, Doc, you don't understand. So Ben had to go do it. Then you had, with Devil's Reign, you had Ben there in the background, and I'm pretty sure with how little he's used, I'm pretty goddamn sure Chip Zdarsky didn't like that either. Just saying. But getting back on point, it's really nice to see that, like, you know, it just kind of shows of that friendship that has grown between Strange and Peter is because, well, the two have been tied in, like, magical destinies and whatnot, like the Way of Dusty Death and the Bar Sinister storylines, and a few other stories that were specifically that, yeah, Peter had to go to Doctor Strange for help, and Doctor Strange had to go to Peter for help. So the two have, like, grown to be to be friends. And I don't think that friendship gets talked a lot about in comics. It's one of those unsung ones. Especially it got a lot of press in JMS's run. Though, granted, I feel like that was more of JMS wanting to write Doctor Strange, and when he did, he's garbage at it. Anyway, so yeah, I just thought I'd do a fun video talking about, like, hey, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, that's a fun friendship. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man as friends? Do you guys like them, hate them, or do you think another character should take that role as third best buddy? I'm looping the Fantastic Four as one group. Yeah, but anyway, just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.